Ever wonder what makes you grown up? Ever wonder if the life experiences that has made you who you are the same as other people? Of course. Duh. How'd you know? Well, now you don't have to. Let's Grow Up is a show where we talk about the specific life moments that have defined us into the adults we are today. Whether it's weird, crazy, or subtle, it doesn't matter. Because it's what makes you, you. So now, let's grow the hell up. What's up, my listeners? All right, today on Growing Up, how do you know who you are? I mean, that's a really specific question, but when and how do you know who you are? Is it a specific time in your life? Is it after an incident that occurs? Is it over, the course of 5 to 10 years? I mean, really, how do you know who you are? I believe it's kind of both. It's specific moments in your life, but also specific moments throughout your life. I also think knowing and defining who you are tiny, microscopic things, but also really big things in your life that help shape and define who you are as a person. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. We're going to be discussing how I came to find who I am and some of those specific moments that kind of shaped me into the person I am. So let's get started with this, okay? So I guess, looking back over the course of my life, I would say I can distinctly remember moments that kind of changed everything for me, okay? And I know a lot of people get tired of hearing me talk about my study abroad trip, but the truth is a lot of those moments there shaped who I am. And I did a lot of growing up in those trips and in that time period, so I can't help but mention it. So here we go. My first trip abroad was when I was, I think it was 15. Yeah, I was 15, and I went to Europe with my mom. It was through a school trip, so I was with, people from friends, but my mom decided to come with. And I'll never forget, we were in this little tiny Italian town called Lucca. So pretty. It's very quaint, little quiet. Highly recommend if you guys ever go. My mom and I, though, decided to get bikes and ride around basically the perimeter of the town. Long story short, history of Lucca. It used to be a city people would go to hide when wars would break out. So they have it's very small. So I can't even remember how long the perimeter was, but it wasn't that big, which is why we decided to ride bikes. Anyway, getting off topic. But I was with my mom and we were riding these bikes in the summertime in Italy, and the trees were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it was literally something you could get out of a movie. It was just breathtaking. And it was in that moment that I kind of realized that I wanted this experience and experience things like this every day. And that, I think, is when it kind of hit me that I am a traveler. I want to experience different things. I want to experience, new cultures, new people, new food, new life experiences. And I think what really sold me on that was the fact that not everybody gets to do those things. Not everyone gets to ride a bike in Italy in the small town of Lucca on a beautiful summer's day. And that is what I wanted out of life. That, I think, was the pivotal moment that I was like, yeah, I want to travel. No matter what I do in life, I want to travel so I can have these experiences. And that, I think, is where my travel lust came from. So that's one component of who I am. And how I decided who part of me is, I guess, is I'm a traveler. And that came from traveling experiences, and I think a lot of people can relate to that because I feel like a lot of people have, similar moments. So the next topic I'm going to throw at you guys is a little bit more sad, but it helps, One thing I also think that helps you growing up is you have to be and learn how to be okay with being alone. And I know that sounds really dumb, but I feel like as an adult, you have to be okay with being alone at some time or another. And for me, I was a very lonely kid growing up. Yeah, I had 5 siblings, but I was the youngest. they kind of all paired up with each other, and then that kind of left me odd one out, So I could spend hours in my room alone by myself, playing with my dolls or, the Legos or whatever I had to entertain me. And so I learned at a very young age to be okay by being by myself. But I think as you grow up and get, into your teenage years and then your 20s, it becomes a little bit harder to find an okay, or I guess to find a time and be okay with being alone. But I think the most pivotal time in my 20s when I found that I'm okay to be by myself, I'm okay to be alone, was when I studied abroad. I went when I was 19, and it was the first time in my life I was doing something completely on my own. I didn't have any family where I was going. I didn't have any friends from school or any friends, period, going with me on this trip. I was completely on my own. I was going to a foreign country where I had no idea how to speak the language. And if I'm being honest, it was terrifying. I remember getting off the plane that day that I landed and just thinking like, oh my gosh, this was the biggest mistake of my life. Why did I do this? type thing. Looking back, I find that so funny because I came out okay and everything was fine and, it ended up being great. But it was something I did completely on my own with absolutely no one there to hold my hand step by step of the process, And so many times throughout this experience, I had moments where I was alone and I was like, I can do this. Like, I'm good alone. I can be by myself and it's fine. One distinct memory I have is it was closer to when I was getting ready to come back to the States, and all of my friends that I had made there had already left to go home, and I had just a few weeks left by myself. And I took one day to just go and walk around the city that I was in, to just really take it in for the last couple times, because I knew in my heart that it was going to be a while until I'd be back. Which is really sad thinking about it now, but it's fine. We're fine. But walking around that city by myself, just taking it all in, was something completely different because I was okay. I was okay by myself. I was okay being by myself and being alone. And I didn't need anyone to be there with me in this moment. I didn't need my phone. I didn't need my friends. I just needed me. I think people nowadays don't have enough alone time, honestly. I think between social media and, having friends and family all around, I don't think people spend enough time being alone. I think it's an okay thing to do, and I think people need to do it because that's, again, going back to the first point, is how you really get to know yourself and how you figure out who you are. On my trip abroad, I figured out that I don't want what everyone else wants. I don't want a regular 9-to-5 job, okay? I want a job that's going to allow me to travel, that's going to let me have new things. Again, going back to the whole thing, I know who I am because of these experiences, because I've had adventures, because I know I don't want a regular job, and that's okay. I've figured out that it's okay to want something different than what society tells you to want. And I figured that out by spending time with myself, getting to know my wants, getting to know my needs, getting to know what I want out of life, defining who I am, growing up, having this process to grow up. It's an amazing thing when one truly does get to know oneself. I really do think that. I've seen so many of my friends take the time and do that themselves, but I've also seen it with me, and I've also seen, how I've grown the past few years in college. And with these changed life experiences, I've really gotten to know who I am, which has helped me to grow up even more, because now I'm making my life decisions based on what I want, because I know who I am and what I want. And that's just part of growing up. So that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks, guys, for listening to how some of my experience has shaped me into the person I am today and how that has kind of helped me grow up. But just remember, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because knowing who you are is worth the wait. So until next time, don't ever forget, grow the hell up. Tune in next week for another story on how something shaped me into the person I am today. See you guys next week. And until then, grow the hell up.